So good morning, happy Monday. Hope everybody's ready for their week. I want to dive in here real quick on our topic today because it's a great one, okay, and it comes up often, is when you are working on changes and you are working on staying focused on the good that you are, the good you were created in, and the good you are meant to receive, okay? Always stay focused on that. You want more good in your life, you want to receive, you have to stay focused on the good, okay? It's really easy for our minds to get clouded with all of the negativity and negative experience and whatnot, to be deterred from that, okay, and lose sense of your self-worth. But it's possible if you shift your focus and you consciously remind yourself, okay, of the good that you are, the good that you are created in, and the good you are meant to receive, okay? Your creator didn't create you so that you could be miserable and not have good in your life, okay? You are good. You were created in love, okay? So we want to embrace that. Now, the question comes up where when we are working on making these changes, okay, and we feel, and we are, so I'm just going to say there's a difference, right? Because I know for myself, and I'm going to speak for myself. I can speak for my clients as well, right? But I'm going to give you my personal examples. I thought I was working on myself. I really thought wholeheartedly, like I was really working on myself until I learned that I wasn't at the level that I really needed to go deep and work on myself for real changes. That my energy shifts and I magnetize things that I do really want in my life now. And the toxic stuff it's less prevalent, okay? It's less common, it's less prevalent, it's no longer kind of in my sight line, right? In any case, when you start making those changes and you're working on being better and in all the ways, there always tends to be people in your life that aren't in agreement with you, right? So when you start behaving differently at this different version, this higher level of yourself, where you're giving more love, you're being more forgiving, you're being less judgmental, you're being more kind, there's less worry, you're putting out less worry, you're putting out less low vibration. Okay, you start becoming this version of yourself that you want to, that belongs to you. Okay, you're behaving this way. But there's people in your life that seem to be kind of like not wanting to go along with you, right? They're kind of pushing against you and making it difficult maybe for you to be that version, right? Which, as we know, it's nobody else's fault, right? It's up to us to really stay in our lane and do the work and behave like that optimal version of ourselves, like the good, the love, the respect, the honor that we want in our life. We have to give that. We have to be that for ourselves first and foremost. So when those people, there's two reasons, okay, why people will fight you on that. And I say fight, but it's really just kind of, some may fight you, literally, but really just kind of make it difficult for you to be that good, right? Be that changed version of yourself, which is the two reasons, right? The first one is, and I can give you my own examples, they're just not used to this new version of you, okay? So my kids, for example, okay? So my kids, and I was always, a great mom, right? I really, really was. However, as I up-leveled my growth and my learning and my healing, I really learned to identify what behaviors, were triggering for them so that I could be more aware and more considerate and whatnot, right? So I'll just kind of take you back here. So the people that go against you at first can be combative about your changes, and you're doing all this work. Could be your spouse, could be your kids. You're like trying to do more, be better, be more considerate, more loving, and they're just sourpuss, crabby ass, right? is they're just not used to you. So they're holding on to, they're not used to this new version of you. So they're holding on to maybe the resentment that they have had over your past behavior. Okay. Super common. Just because you're doing the work on yourself doesn't mean other people are doing the work on themselves for them to understand how hard you've been working on yourself and how deep the work is that you've been doing on yourself, right? Doesn't mean people are going to understand that. So you can't really expect them to. So they're still in their mind dealing with this former version of you that probably, I'm not going to say maybe, probably was more difficult. Because if you're working on the changes and you're really now operating from a place of love in all you do, in every transaction, in every interaction, in every communication, you are a completely different human than you used to be, right? Right here, okay? So they're just not used to it, right? So you have to be patient, first and foremost, with the people, especially, I mean, I would say be patient with everybody initially, right? Just be patient, okay? Especially, obviously, the people that matter the most, right? Like my kids clearly matter the most. You know, in the past, the things that they came from were crazy sauce, right? I mean, I can tell you. So growing up, I didn't deal with drugs. I didn't drink, right? I grew up in a very sheltered religion. Wasn't allowed to do anything. So the first time my son was drinking, and you know, there was a little like drug interaction, I took him to a drug rehab because isn't that what you do as a parent? You know, no, okay, and it traumatized him. Okay, he wasn't like put somewhere or anything. We went for a visit and had an appointment. But needless to say, that was, you know, I was reacting. If we really break that down, I was responding from a place of fear. Okay, my own ignorance and lack of understanding of my own stuff, of my own issues, right? And, you know, my biological father is a drug addict. So to me, drugs, you know, excessive drinking were always, you know, related to abandonment, right? In all kinds of different ways. And so for my son, of course, I don't want that. So yeah, sure, I took him to drug rehab. Not great, wasn't great, right? So fast forward, okay, and that was a really difficult, tumultuous time in our lives. But fast forward a couple of years later and me kind of diving deeper and doing the work and making the changes and whatnot, it took my son a little bit of time to see that I wasn't that person anymore, that I wasn't going to just react out of fear, that I wasn't going to be oppressive, that I wasn't going to suffocate him out of my fear for my own issues, right? And those issues are, you know, they're giant. They can be, you know, failure, abandonment, right? Of not being loved, of not being lovable, you know, of being broken, all of the things, right, that we have, not feeling worthy, all of these things. Of course, my son had no idea that those things were coming up, and I would never expect him to. However, moving forward, I will tell you in time, if you're patient with those people and you continue doing your good, being your good, genuinely operating from a place of love, doing the deep work that needs to be done for your own healing, they're going to come along, okay? The ones that matter, the ones that truly want to be in your life, they're going to come along, okay? And they're going to see it, and it's going to be less abrasive and less difficult. Okay, that's your first person, right? They just need time because now you're this different version of you, right? The other group of people are just going to be combative, okay, with you. The people that just, no matter what you do, it's never going to be enough, and they're always going to make it difficult for you, and you must have, you know, you must be being fake, right? They'll call you fake. as you've come to these changes in your life and you're doing this deep healing work, and which really they have no concept of, because clearly if they were doing the healing work for themselves, you wouldn't dare place a judgment on somebody like along those lines, right? You wouldn't even think of it. You just respect where people are in their journey. So that group of people, those are the toxic people in your life, okay? And toxic people, toxic situations. So you're going to find in time, and this can be a tough one because this might be people that are close to you. Everybody's on their own journey. There's no way of knowing. You can't make somebody be a certain way. So just because you're being good, you're operating from a place of love, and you've had this giant shift, and you're not placing judgment, and you're operating out of kindness and forgiveness and all these things, and boundaries, right? Boundaries are love. Your boundaries now with these toxic people that are just being, abrasive and unkind and belittling, right? Making fun of you for your changes. Those are the people that are slowly going to weed themselves away out of their lives. I promise you. If you stay on your path and you continue doing the deep work, okay, this deep work that it takes, you will not encounter those toxic situations, those toxic relationships nearly as often as you are right now. Right now, as long as you're not working on that stuff, you keep magnetizing it, right? Because it's an energy. You got to clear out that ugly stuff. There's stuff in your past that we've got to heal and get through that so that your energy changes and magnetizes more of the good stuff, right? So, but in the meantime, no. That's why there are two schools, right? There's the group that they just don't understand. They're not there yet. They just need time to understand that you really have made these changes, right? And you really do have pure intentions. And then there are the other group of people that are just toxic. They're just going to drain you, okay? And you're going to learn to identify these people. They're just going to drain you. So in that case, it really is how is this serving you? How is this relationship serving you? Because if it is not loving to you, like your creator created you to be, to have things that are loving to you in your life, starting with you being loving to you. But if other people are not loving to you, if their behaviors are not life, right? There's really not a place in your life for them, because if somebody is not life-giving, they are life-draining, right? So that kind of gives you a better sense of where it comes from and why, and just be patient. Don't lose focus on your work. Stay in your lane. Keep operating from a place of love. Run your whole week like that, operating from a place of love, removing judgment, being kind, right? Not having bias. Now, as much as humanly possible, right? Because we are still human, but man, if you can make that your awareness that much higher, you're going to find yourself in just such a better position. So hope that was helpful. Hope it made sense.